Ladies and gentlemen, on the Shrek Gaming Tedcom video, let us further discuss Titanfall, specifically the online hosting part of this, in other words, the cloud-based technology. The developers have recently been speaking in an interview, and indeed it was one of their programmers, John Shimming, and he said, and I quote, "There are a few different aspects to it. One, very practical. Certainly if you've played other games and you're trying to make a party, not everyone can connect to some people. You have to negotiate which one is going to do the party and invite everyone. All those things that get around the fact that it's hard to connect from player to player. By having this stuff on the cloud, you can guarantee that everyone will be able to connect. It's like loading a web page. You don't have to worry about whether you can load a web page. It just works. So you can certainly have a reliability there. When you're trying to get together with your friends and just play, there's no question whether your guys are just going to be able to get into a match together. It will just work." Also, he pointed out a little bit regarding the specifications. We're using dual core servers to run all of our matches, and there's a really significant amount of CPU available to us, and we use that for AI and player code and all those things. And we have a lot of bandwidth on those servers. All those things actually let us have all the AI and all the players and huge titans running around, all the physics and extra bandwidth is what lets us fill the world with moving things. And available CPU is what lets us do things like AI, you know. And it's not just a bullet flying through the air, it's moving around and causing network data. It's an actual AI that's making decisions and trying to shoot at things and looking around. Now, just to clarify, the developers have also stated that, and we had a interesting dialogue there regarding Microsoft, and that's really when we came back with all this Xbox Live computer ideas. So we've been working on it with them for a long time now, and all of the versions of our game will be using it. But on all platforms, it's letting us make a game that obviously no one's been able to make in the past. So it's really exciting, the capability that we have. Now, end quote, I just want to clarify a few things. I think people get a really wrong impression of the cloud. I mean, cloud is important and cool because it's very scalable, but it's nothing magical, right? Cloud has this mystical sounding word, like a really good PR buzzword, but in reality, all they are is just networked PCs, which you can scale up and down. Now, I'm not saying this to be put a downer on their accomplishments or anything like that. I'm just trying to point out that for the most part, you know, this has been around for a long time, dedicated servers, you know, back even about 10 years ago plus, you could hire dedicated servers for example, Counter-Strike or whatever on the PC. So it's not really anything that big of a deal. And as for loading a web page, well, no, sure, you don't really load a web page, but sometimes that web page doesn't load. In other words, if someone has connection issues, it's not going to magically solve them. Sure, it's going to definitely improve bandwidth, however. So, in other words, if Bob normally insists on hosting a multiplayer game, but Bob has the worst internet connection known to man, then he's no longer going to be able to do that. So there's always that benefit. But aside from that, it's nothing particularly super duper exciting. A lot of it is marketing talk, honestly, but it is quite nice. As for the servers, I'd like to have heard a little bit more regarding the amount of memory specifications, exactly what type of processors they're using. For example, have they just allocated a couple of CPU cores directly from a larger server, and so they are technically sharing other resources on a virtual machine? Other questions as well. I do have a few regarding that, because I don't really think it would be prudent for them to do it any other way, purely for financial reasons more than any. So yeah, Titanfall is looking very cool indeed, but I just think, from my own perspective of someone who's interested in technology, despite the fact that the cloud is very cool in terms of, you know, artificial intelligence and everything else, in reality, it's nothing much more than a dedicated server. So I just, you know, I feel that sometimes people do somewhat forget that. aside from that, it is pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to actually getting my hands on, of course, the PC version. So I guess we'll just have to see how that runs. Anyway, I'm going to get going. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.